Welcome to Business Mastery with Dawn Kennedy, your quick under 45-minute dose of expert insights and strategies to make a positive impact on your business and life. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Business Mastery Podcast. So we're going to have another revisit with a guest who was here in episode 91 when we were the Profit Accelerator podcast, because we need to revisit this topic on soul-aligned businesses, on global conversations. And even after we've changed since the pandemic and a lot of people are going back offline, a lot of these conversations that were initiated do need to continue. So I have Camille on here to talk to us again about the global entrepreneur community, finding the people that you want to serve and sell to, and then how to overall make sure your business is aligned, not just for you to grow as a business person, but also to serve you as a human. So thank you, Camille, so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, Dawn. I appreciate it.
Can you tell everyone who you are and who you serve?
Yep, my name is Camille L Miller, and I am a strategic business designer, and I help soul-aligned visionaries design businesses in alignment with who they are. So no matter what they've done all their life, if they're changing, if they're just growing their own business, but keeping it in alignment with who they are. And that's, even with family-run businesses, sometimes they come through generations, but the next generation inherits it, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't wanna do it this way. This doesn't feel in alignment with who I am," or times have just changed. We're just doing business differently. So, I help kind of figure out what that looks like for them and the vision that they have and make a business model from it.
Amazing. So you mentioned a couple of very important points, and that is that it needs to be aligned with who that person is. I have to ask, in the 2 years since we've spoken and the entrepreneurs you've been into, how many people truly design businesses for who they are, and how many of them actually just design businesses based on models they see and copy?
So that's a hard answer because I only work with people that are designing it with alignment with who they are. So if someone's like, I have this business idea or I have this product idea and it's all about the money, I'm not the right person for them. Right? So I usually talk to people and say, if you were to win the lottery today, what would tomorrow look like? Right? Because it's
Very
in that answer they're telling me, like if they're like can't wait to quit their job or change something over, that's not in alignment. Right? But whatever they are telling me about is what they wanna continue to do that's a lot aligned with their purpose.
So what happens
How
if
do
you
we
wake
get that now?
Yeah, what happens though if you wake up and you've been in business for 3 or 4 years and now you're facing burnout and it's no longer in alignment?
So there's probably depending on the business, there's probably some things that you love to do, but maybe the way you've always done it doesn't serve you anymore, right? I had an online membership for 10 years, I let it go. I had a podcast for 9 seasons, I let it go, right? There were things that I built that built my business and career and brought me nice revenue, but they no longer made my heart sing. I'm like, "I really don't wanna do this anymore," right? I used to work with a lot of hobbyists. Now I work, more with visionaries that are creating new things and have new ideas in the world, because that's where I've gone. Because we attract who we are in the world,
Yeah,
right? So now I attract more of those people because that's who I am.
yeah.
So it's about you can't scale by doing more of what you've always done.
Okay. So this is very important because I'm sure there are people who are like, "What? 9 seasons? You just let it go?" Or
Yep.
"What? 10 years and you just let it go?" That takes some courage because there is a place I think where we always want to have that sense of we know what's coming, we think we know, what the results are going to be. So what spurred the decision to let it go? And then how did that, I guess, give you permission to pivot to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so it was actually I read a book called 10x is easier than 2x by Benjamin Hardy.
Mhm.
And as I was reading it, I realized that I was the person he was talking about is like you do things because you've always done it or they create revenue for you, but you're showing up not really wholeheartedly or not as excited as you used to show up for it. Right, and I kinda had known that, especially about my membership, and it was actually my book series I finished too, so that's done. Um, but I wasn't showing up as excited as when I created it. Right? So I was like, and I knew I was meant for something bigger, something different, like something else was calling me, but I didn't know what it was. So I had to look around and say, what can I start to shut down so I could create space for whatever's possible? But I didn't know what that was. I had no idea actually. So I just started at the end of last year in November. I told all of my members I'm closing down the membership. Um, and I just did. And I had, backed up interviews for the podcast all the way to the end of the year, but I had stopped recording in, like, October, but we had enough because we released weekly, and
Right.
I went, "Well, it goes to the end of the year, right? So, I'm not gonna work on next season. I'm just done."
Wow.
So and I just started releasing, and it wasn't just stopping, but it was the emotional, the baggage, the everything that comes with, "I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to get this done." I had, like, I just released it, and I'm like, "I'm just now who am I without all of this stuff? Because that stuff has defined me.
Yeah.
And then I had all of this space, right? I'm going into the new year, I have all of this space, I'm like, "Okay, what is next?" Like, I do know I love teaching, we did create the business school, which beta tested last summer, so I had that behind me for, like, 6 months when I was, like, making these decisions, but I was only in our first semester, and I was like, "Yep, I think this is where it needs to go," but I didn't really have a plan.
Right.
And I
Right.
still haven't changed that at all. Like, we have the plan now, but we're working on it. We haven't done anything new for it. Um, but I really just wanted to create the space to see what's possible. What will show up for me? Because I think opportunity always is showing up for us, but we're so busy doing what we've always done that we can't see it.
So let me ask you, if somebody starts to feel that they don't want to do something anymore, whatever, the conventional wisdom I think in business oftentimes is delegate it, right? So there's a piece of this that you don't really want to do anymore, so you delegate it to someone else. Ultimately, you're responsible for it. But I think what you're saying is this is beyond delegation, where like this particular thing that I didn't want to do didn't match in any way, and even if someone else was doing it, it wouldn't have made you happy. Is that kind of where we're going?
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, like the podcast, who else is gonna do that, right? Like, I could delegate pieces of it, right? I did the interview, I didn't put any of it together, I had a team that did all of that, right, and marketed it and all of that, but I still made sure that I was interviewing, I still created the space to have the interviews in my calendar, right? So, it was still hours of my week, doing it every time. So yeah, I actually loved it, like, loved, right? But this year, I made the point to be on other people's podcasts every single week, right? So I'm still doing it, but I'm not attached to all of the stuff that comes with it, right? And if I was going to push that forward and monetize and make it bigger, that was a big decision in my business to go in that direction, right? And to go in that direction, I'd have to give up some other stuff. And that wasn't the direction that I felt served me best, right?
Right.
I did it for 9 years, I have all of those recordings, I didn't need to continue to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other stuff and other people doing great podcasts, so why don't I be a guest for a year? So that's my idea. Will I have a podcast again? Maybe. I don't think I would do a solo anymore. Like, I see myself, partnering with someone and, doing something probably around business and spirituality, but
Yeah.
that hasn't presented itself yet, and it's just there. Yeah, so I feel like you just know. It's not about delegating the stuff you don't like in your business, like, I don't like finance, so I have someone does it. Well, that still has to happen, right? Whether I make money or not, someone's gotta be watching that piece of my business.
Right.
So it's not really delegating, it's just saying, "Hey, this doesn't really serve me anymore. I don't enjoy showing up and doing it."
You don't enjoy showing up and doing it. Okay. So, but in the current, so it's interesting though, you haven't closed the door in that you liked it, just not in its current form. I think maybe that's important for people who maybe did inherit a family business and it's worked for
Yeah.
us before. I don't think it's working in the current form for us the way that it could be. and kind of that permission slip to change things, without saying, we closed the door and, the horse got out, we closed the gate too late or whatever. I mean, really, this is, um, I guess, stemming from very intentional decisions to do what you were led to do next.
Yeah, because we grow, right? I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago when I opened the business,
Yeah.
right? I've grown, so I actually like working with people that are scaling now because I've scaled, I've hired, I've delegated, right? So that's the stuff I really teach now. I help people scale, right? If they're stuck in those smaller months and they really want to double or triple, that's who I help now. That's where my
Right.
masterminds are because that's what's fun. That's what I know.
Right. So louder for everyone in the back. You grow and evolve as a business, so you're not going to look the same at year 2, year
Never.
4, year 11, right? So we're going to grow so I definitely wanted to talk a little bit about that authenticity, finding your people, and then we talked slightly before we started recording about global conversations that during the pandemic, I think everybody was kind of forced into maybe global conversations that they weren't having before. A lot of local businesses faced some challenges. Not everybody was able to pivot and go online very quickly. But as it kind of progressed and people did go online, um, I talked to another marketing person earlier and he said that right now event marketing is huge for in person. People want to go back there. But I think that the need and the desire for businesses to maintain those global conversations, I don't think we can ever put that back in the box.
No. And businesses have global platforms now, right? I work with most of my people are working through Zoom, right? But I do have some people that actually are starting to prefer the in-person. So it's how are we kind
And
of dovetailing that piece now, right? As a speaker and lecturer, like, now I'm asking to be on stages again, and I'm like, "Huh, I've kinda like to travel and see people and do things." So, I'm talking to a lot of people lately, especially about doing retreats, or I was just speaking to a woman who's doing co-working, like, they're business deductions, but they're not actually going to do anything, right? They're just meeting in Malta or meeting in Portugal for these long weekends, and they're all working on their own stuff, but they're co-working spaces away, which I thought, "Wow, that's pretty cool. That gets you out." Right? And now that I know people all over the world, no matter where I go, I could meet them, but I usually don't, right? If I was traveling for business, it would be different. Like last year, I toured Europe and I was in Budapest and Vienna, and every time I went to a city, my followers were like, "Hey, meet me for coffee. I'm here too. I'm down the street." Like, and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool that I have people all over the world." But I was on a personal vacation and I was not taking time to have coffee with everybody. But that would be a cool thing to do, right? And I think people now want to go back to in person, right? Or a mix thereof,
right.
right? I was just working with a client who needed some cash flow and I was like, go to your local chamber of commerce and start introducing yourself,
Right.
right? Because they worked with small businesses.
Yeah.
So, right? So we forget and she literally said, "Oh, that never even occurred to me." And I was like, "I know, because 'cause we've all been sitting behind, the desk and doing the video and"
Right.
yeah, but there's a whole life out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So in designing these businesses for meeting people where they are and things, it's not just, I guess, the personal, like your ideal client probably thinks like you in a lot of ways, buys the same way you buy, right? So we know that
Yeah,
our ideal clients are typically people like us. But you're also saying that, you can evolve and change how you deliver services, where you find people and do all of those things while still staying
absolutely.
true to yourself. And I want to talk about this. I think for a couple of years, everybody was pushing this idea of a personal brand, right? So you'd have a solopreneur, they would have a personal brand versus a brand that had products and services attached. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on that as people are designing other businesses. Do you see more of that separation where people online are maybe in one way or promoting one thing. And then in the offline space, they're still staying true to themselves, but delivering a different way. And, potentially maybe more of a personal brand in person.
So it really depends on that person's vision for their business. Like if you're a solo entrepreneur, a consultant, a coach, you're working one on one with people, then branding your name is really, really important. Right. For my own story, I branded my company and never my name. And I started branding my name almost 2 years ago. It
Yeah.
was June 2 years ago. And I realized I had built this big company and I'm like, crap, nobody knows who I am. What am I doing? Right. So I've been building my own name and my own brand. And I would say 2 months ago, I actually put a page up about me on my website. Like there was no picture, no bio, no anything. But now that I'm speaking on stages and doing things, we decided to put that up there. Um, but I had to change to brand myself because of where I'm going and to be on stages and to do things. It was more important that I started branding my own name. But I tell my clients, if it's only you, you should be branding your name because no one else can be you, and people are going to be Googling your name, right? So
That's
it's really, really important that you actually even think out your name, right? For a lot of women, they might take a married name and then they divorce. Do you keep the name? Do you go back to another name? A lot of women are taking the first and a middle name. Right? Like there's all, or they're building businesses with their maiden name, so it never changes. So those are all thoughts with women that are very different, right? But your name is your brand. So if you change your name, it's literally a rebrand. So
yeah.
that's where it gets hard. Or you're dropping the hyphen. I know people have dropped hyphens because I'm in my database going, weren't you so and so? So you do have to think about that. But if you're thinking bigger, right? Because I had a membership, a professional organization that had its own brand because I wanted it to be able to spin off without me.
Right.
That's the I built it that way on purpose. If you're thinking you're going to sell the business, then your name does not go with it,
Right.
right? So that's all, trademarking and branding. So it really depends what the thought is about the business,
Right.
you know?
Is it
Uh,
possible to build a soul built, I guess, brand that is separate from you? Um, and the reason I ask that question is a lot of times people will listen and they'll be like, yeah, but this is the same company we've had for 5 years now. I'm not planning on going on a speaking tour. I'm listening to everything you're saying. We're going to have these global conversations and these things are important. But how do we build something that is true to ourselves when it is 9 employees and 11 lines of revenue and things like that? And maybe we are not interested in spinning off a speaking tour. I think to your point is you still have to be true to yourself even inside a business brand.
yeah, and what your intention is, right? So look at Tony Robbins. How many employees do you think he has?
Right.
Right? But that's his personal brand. He branded his name, right? Bob Proctor. But there's other brands of people that may have branded companies instead, right? Like Microsoft or Apple or Facebook, right? That so it had the potential to spin off. Now we all know who the owners are, CEOs are, but it could spin off, right? I could build my company and the whole sole professional brand. In my mind, in my vision, there will be a different CEO. Like it's not going to be me.
Right.
I'll still be a part of it, but I don't actually want to run the company. That does not make my heart sing. I like building companies. I don't like running companies. So in my mind, someone else will do that. I'm actually looking for a partner, an investor, someone who may be interested in bringing this bigger that will do the operations piece because I know it's not me.
So let me ask you then, as far as building it as soul aligned and then transferring it, are you looking for an owner that is aligned like you or somebody to transfer to? Or do you
Oh,
think the
yeah.
business can also evolve into the soul alignment of the human beings guiding it? So I think this
So,
is definitely an issue for, like you said, family businesses sometimes.
yeah, of course, right? Um, um, I would not partner with someone who I didn't feel was aligned, right? Because it's my brand, I built it. And I would not, at this point, just sell my brand to somebody, right? I would want to build it with somebody, build it in a way that felt, well, I would still have control. So the brand was built the way I envisioned it.
Okay.
But then eventually someone else would be running it,
Got
right? I don't need to do all of that, right? When you look at something like, Meta or like Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure he's in a lot of decisions, but he's not into the day today. He's not showing up. He is the brand still. It's still his vision. Like that's who we think of, but I doubt he's actually running that company,
Do
right?
we believe that Facebook is aligned with Mark Zuckerberg as far as being, like, building it, or do you think maybe the business took over? The
Well, he originally built it. My guess is
Right.
yes, but I don't actually know. Um, it would be important to me because I developed the brand but if someone was buying it, you don't usually buy brands to change them,
Right. Well, I mean, they went to
right? So
IPO, but when
yeah,
he was first, we're talking about building a soul aligned company, and we're talking about some of these larger companies. I think they start to lose that connection to the founder. But I'm always curious about, were they in the beginning, were they aligned to begin with? A lot of businesses are built to serve, the interests of the owners and the founders, but some of them are also built to just kind of solve a consumer problem or something. And I'm
and
wondering, what your thoughts are around how we stay aligned if we are going to continue to stay in business um,
yeah,
when it's gotten past us a little bit.
yeah, and some businesses are built to be sold. The
Mhm.
sole reason they build them is to get the revenue and sell it off. That's the whole plan, right? That is not the type of businesses I design or am a part of. But for family businesses, they were probably built on a grandfather or father or someone way back. And maybe now a granddaughter is taking it over and saying, I don't like the way this is done. Right. And usually the culture from the inside changes first because you mirror the culture or the belief system of the CEO, right? The president, someone who's running it. That's how the business changes first, and then you can take it in a new direction. But first, you're changing the personality. And any company changes, every company, big, large, small, with the CEO. The CEO sets the tone of any company. I don't care how big you are or small you are, right?
Right.
So that's where the changes are first. But I, in my opinion, you want to change. Like, why would you be the same company? Like, I shouldn't be the same company I was 10 years ago. For a family business, you shouldn't be the same company you were 50 years ago or whenever your family started it because times have changed. People have changed. Your consumers have changed, right? So it's a part of recognizing who's my consumer now, right? So right now in the market, it's much more older 50 plus women, and those are the ones starting businesses right now. And over 80% of them are very successful.
Right.
Right? So our consumers are changing. Women are controlling money nowadays, right? So I'm seeing people in financial services changing everything. A lot of people are gearing up for women consumers. But without that feminine energy and that nurturing and that piece, you're not going to get them, right? So that's a branding choice. That's also a brand, right? Your brand is a personality.
Right. Right. Okay. So then staying in that alignment with your business, whether you're first starting out or it's 3 years later, as people are growing and evolving, what kinds of changes can you see inside the business itself that demonstrates that it's being kind of like changed as the owners are changing, as they're maturing, I
So
guess I should say.
yeah, it would depends on, like, what the business is, right? your business usually grows with the owner's growth, right? Like I said, the clients that I served 10 years ago, I serve them in a way, but those aren't my paying clients anymore. Right? When I had a membership, I had what I called my basic membership for like $40 a month. I give all of that away for free now. All of it. Because I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I was like, from this point on, this level's free. Right. And I had changed that in my company years ago because I didn't really want to do it. So I just let it go. Um, and I changed. So people change based on the leader, right? And then I think it starts with the leader, and then it goes to like HR and all the people that are working for you, right? You might hire different people to work for you. But if we're talking about product or services, those have to be looked at and like who originally made this product? Is this product selling anymore? Do we still need this? Right? Is the market calling for it? Is there something better out there? A lot of times we just need to improve what's already there. Not to just let it go, but we can improve on what's already there. Everything needs improvement.
Right. Right. And you talked about starting a business school. So what is your business school and who do you serve with that?
Yeah, it's called Soul, Soul Professional Business School. And it is a full business education. I was a former professor for MBA students. And it was in that role that I realized we are not teaching or serving people that are our future, right? Especially entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And especially in the service industry. So my school is very specific to service-led entrepreneurs in the service industry that have global markets. So most of my people are working on Zoom. They're consultants or advisors, but I do have lots of doctors and therapists and engineers and things of that. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Um, And it's all about creating the education, giving them the education and creating a business that's around their passion, their uniqueness. But then we go through the mission, the vision, the unique value proposition, your branding, your messaging, your client funnels, your giveaways, your pitch, all of it. We teach absolutely all of it. And now this year, we're bringing in other faculty from all over the world that is global, that has experience in teaching, but has also mastered their business. So they have to be making minimum is six figures. We want them to be higher before they can teach whatever they're teaching. They have to prove that they are an absolute master at what they're teaching to be allowed to teach in the school.
Oh, very cool. Right. Well, where can everyone find more information about the school and about you and about Soul Professional?
Yeah, so the best place is to go to our website, which is soulprofessional.com. You can find out about the Soul Professional movement, the Soul Professional Business School, and of course, myself. You can go there or you can go to CamilleLMiller.com and find out about me and my services and everything I got.
Amazing. Is there anywhere they should be stalking you on socials?
So I spend all of my time on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
And, yeah, and I do have a YouTube channel. I used to do TikTok. I don't know, I have 1,000 something followers there, but, LinkedIn is every single day, a couple times a day, and YouTube. Every time I teach a class, all of my basic classes are there on YouTube for free.
Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. So we're going to link all that down inside the show notes, including the YouTube channel. So you can go get some free business education as well. And thank you so much for coming back on. And really kind of diving in a little more about how we evolve and change and really this importance of a global conversation post-pandemic. I don't think that's ever going to stop.
I agree. I
Yep.
agree.
All right. We'll talk to y'all next time on the next episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to DawnKKennedy.com, and you can now check us out on YouTube as well as, of course, any of your favorite platforms that host podcasts. Take care.